Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast without a title still because we're still trying to figure out a name for it. Tonight we have an update on the aperion situation, or the final part on the aperion situation because they've closed. We've got news on Gameshow Direct, which has been out for a week, and we're previewing the TRN 5th anniversary with exclusive announcements, which everyone who just left the VC will be very disappointed to find out is happening in here. We're giving exclusive news out for this.
Yep. That's
joining
why
me.
you always think to that part.
Yeah, that's why I just stuck around. Also, I didn't tell them as well. Tonight, joining us via without a mic, Doge. Also here, Mono from who was popped in. It was at the end of the last one, and also SSJ. Welcome. I did say so before we started, but eventually I do want to probably do this with have a bigger panel, or just having a general view, or just getting as many people in here as possible to give views and all that. Just give just give me fair balance and all that. But anyway,
perfectly.
Yeah, it's always fun when you get a load of opinions in, because at least you can have a debate. You can argue about it then. Anyway,
like the piss market.
I think he should have stayed.
Anyway, less Piers Morgan, more like, I don't know, the old right stuff, or Big Brother's Little Brother, or Big Mouth, or whatever. Anyway, let's get into it. The big headline over the last few weeks is the return of Gameshow Direct. Now, we are recording this a couple of days later than I would have liked, but that's just because of the situation that's happened and all that. But this is news that came out a week ago now. Gameshow Direct is returning. There's 9 groups to take part, and it's happening on the 27th of July at 2 p.m. ET. Let me start by mentioning that we're doing coverage for this again. I'm not doing in-person videos again because that was cringe. And this year we're doing it just through this podcast and all that. I'm going to give you an idea of just what we're running here. We have a for the first time ever, we're doing a pre-show poll. Or pre-event poll where people can give their opinions.
Say now, I know what some groups are going to be presenting.
You can't give anything away though, can you? Yes, so.
Yeah, I'm not going to say what.
I'm not have a good idea. I could probably do like almost every prediction. I can probably do.
That's predictions, but no actual giveaways at the later. But essentially, we're going to be running.
Mostly everything I probably will say will be a prediction. But I'm not in the loop of anything.
I'm not either too well, but I can make guesses. Basically, we're going to be running a load of stuff pre and before and after the polls, after the event, including we've got a pre-show poll. What do you predict? What do you expect to see? What do you not expect to see? What would surprise you? And who probably will have the best lineup? You tell us. This will happen from July 20th in our server, and there'll probably be a post on the community tab as well if you're interested in hearing about that, or giving us what you think is going to happen. We've also got, only from last year, we also have the Flash exit poll, or the exit Flash poll, as I put it in my notes. Opening from minutes after the poll, after the event concludes, until moments before we record a special podcast or edition of the podcast. This is where everyone can give their opinions and tell us what they're hyped for and everything. All run by a third party, because once again, I'm not invited. But I'm not surprised, and nor am I probably going to get a spot ever, because every time we do one of these, it probably reduces the chance. But you never know with these things.
But
there's going to be a special edition. There's going to be a special podcast edition of the podcast where I'm going to be covering all the events analysis, and also I'm going to try and get round up as many people as possible for this, so we can actually just sit back and talk about it and get as many views as possible on what's going to happen. But anyway, going a bit more into the announcement, enough self-promotion. 9 groups take part in this one: Studio 64, APS, Game Show League, MDS, and MDC, and Men's Bathroom Choir. Men's Bathroom Choir folded into MTS a couple months back now. They're now one group. And Top Studios, they're all back. Also running the event again for the second year of running is the Price is Right ROBLOX here. They have an announcement of a new project, which will be interesting to see. Horizon is joining the lineup. They missed out last year, but are probably the most high-profile announcement or new group to announce to join the lineup. Also here is I'm gonna have trouble saying this. Lala PQ.
Just say LP.
Wow,
LP. We
LP.
call it LP. Just say LP.
Yeah, that's not that LP.
Yeah,
They
just
go by
LP.
Just say LP.
Please
Yeah.
shorten your name, guys.
And also
and
TGCs.
yeah, and a revived revived TGC. I have in my notes that, I have in my notes that this is the third revival, and they've now been revived more times than. Well, I don't have it in my notes because I'm coming up with this on the fly, but they've been revived more times than have had more potential revivals than American Gladiators at this rate.
Joke is there. I miss Gladiators. I'm not gonna
C-,
lie.
I think. C- on the joke because it took me because I stumbled my way through it and had to figure out something.
Well, I guess you could say you have been down.
But in all seriousness,
by a big old pugil stick.
Yeah. C-. I'm giving myself for that one. I will just say on TGC, it's good to have him back, but at the same time, there's only so many times you can revive yourself without losing the trust of people. And personally speaking, I have my money on it. By the end of the year, I would imagine that TGC's out the window again for some reason or another. That's my take on it, but
my prediction will probably be give it more like maybe 2 years.
You think? I mean, to be fair, I will argue that, as I said, this is third time. This is Doge saying it's his third time hosting Wheel for TGC.
Yeah.
As well.
I will say this though, but knowing that it's under, there's new producers. Cool Waffle is back in TGC, so it's more likely to have a stable foundation this time as well. There's also Whammy PIL, or Agent Crash, some people know him as. He's there working there. Some other high people, Jamal, Hulk, ROBLOXian.
I will say that all I'm going to add on that is, I mean, there was a lot of high-ranking people or well-regarded people working at Aperion, but you saw what happened with them. This is why we have. This is balance.
Aperion. Well, the one with Aperion was the guy was, let's just say, was not right. I know a little bit of history because I sensed the crash of Aperion.
The guy does have
because we had a similar issue a little bit when I was working with him. But we'll get to that
we'll get to that a bit later because that's coming up a bit later in the podcast. But still, my argument is I don't see, just especially after what happened with Daylight, which was meant to be the next, or which was I'm calling a second TGC revival attempt, on grounds that it was pretty much the same people behind TGC who was in Daylight or setting up Daylight. Pretty much, I'd argue. Yeah.
Pretty much.
And that ended up lasting 3 or 4 months, and that was it.
Yeah, but now I feel like that since Yellow has actually took some time, thought about it, recuperate, he's ready and rocking and rolling. That's what I'll say about that.
Fair enough to you. I mean, what I have but yeah, basically the big thing is TGC's in the mix as well there. Interesting to see what they announce. One thing I will say is, one thing that you should expect is a lot of announcements to not be followed up on. I did the analysis on this today, and half of the shows, or over half the shows that were announced during last year's Gameshow Direct, are still yet to premiere. Including Toff's Golden Balls, GSL's Greed. We're still waiting on Shady Game Show Club's Creator Brawl. just to name a few of the high-profile ones. Oh, by the way, the game
I
show
can
brawl
give you
was the
some info. Actually, I can give you a little bit about the creator brawl. Actually,
yeah.
that one will probably never happen,
Oh,
as
yeah, I was right.
due to like almost like a couple of like weeks after it was announced, Flip got into an incident about, and I'll play blankly off it. Obvious, it happened during our in the HPG. Sorry for the plug, but it give context. It happened during there, and with The Price is Right. Actually, at the time, I forgot. I remember there were some well-known members. I think they were doing like a bit, and then Flip said something, and at that time we had to fire him, and then he was fired. He was fired. Also fired, from what I know, from SGC. So after that, I don't know where Flip is around. I think he's probably still around. I don't really think he's been contacted a bit, but he took some time. He can recuperate, but I don't think that will ever happen properly ever again. But he's still working under us in Price is Right. I'll tell you that. Even though that haven't happened for a while.
But I will just make that point again. That I will actually mention that the highest or the big or what people thought were the best show announcement of the last Game Show Direct. The second highest run as well, and one of the third joint highest in there as well. Actually, two more in the joint third place. All did not happen. I mean, to be fair, that other one I didn't mention, by the way, was a Millionaire Clock Track back for Studio 64, but I think I know why that's not happening. Most likely because I have a prediction. I'm probably the reason why Clock Strikes Back for Studio 64. I'm probably the reason why that's. I'm probably the reason. Or I think I'm one of the major reasons why, because I really dislike them on that. During.
I don't think he.
Hold on, I gotta look at the video, but if I remember correctly, I forgot who was the producer, but I believe it was actually Aaron, aka the Jailer 2000.
Oh,
and you know what?
Yeah, we all know what happened with him, but I still
That's
think
why it did not happen.
Yeah.
Call it slightly egotistical, or call it just slightly daft, or whatever you want to call it. But I kind of believe that I am partly the reason why it still hasn't happened, or why it probably won't happen, because of the similarity. Because I did slate them quite badly on that in the analysis for that last year. I did actually slate them for that pretty big. I will say that. I didn't mean to slate them that much, but come on, like what else could I do except point out the obvious similarities? But yeah, I think that's the big things. For actually, there are a few other things I'm going to say quickly on the Game Show Direct. If any, I'm expecting there to be an update on Grease during this. I think it's been mentioned a few times that it is still in development. I think at GSL. I believe it is.
Wait, what's in the wait? What?
I have no comment on that because I'm not in the loop. So,
I'm not in either,
Wait,
but I
which
have
show is
seen,
it on, which
but
show
I
is
have
it?
seen things discussed about it in GSL. I think
Wait,
it ended
is
up
it
getting Greed, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not in any of the channels for that show, so I don't know if it's happening. But I
But I'd
think
imagine
there was mention of it getting done somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's going to be soonish. I think there's a UK set as well, based on the themes that they were going with at the time. But I'm wondering if maybe the response in other groups for Greed might put them off a bit, but we'll see. One of the big shows that was announced there as well, MDS's Russian Roulette, was announced last year, and it's actually probably one of the few shows that actually make it out of the.
It's actually really good. I also.
Yep,
I
I
also
was
have
right.
some
Yep.
things to say about that. So obviously, THW was a executive producer of it, but I
Mm.
think that's
Yeah,
been handed
it
over to
was
Biz.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got handed over to Biz, and I
fully
think
give it over to Biz.
But
Mikey's
that,
helping out as well.
Yeah,
but
but yes, I was right about uh who was doing Millionaire. What was it again? Clock Strike
mm,
Back?
yeah, Clock Strikes
Yes, it
Back. Yeah.
was. Yeah, it was created by the jailer. It was
Mm.
under a different alien. That's why.
Ah, that makes sense. Uh, yeah, but I think that's pretty much at this time the entire discussion about Gameshow Direct that we have pretty much right now. All we know, well, what we do know is actually there are predictions. Does anyone actually have any predictions that they would want to make that does not spoil or about stuff that they're not working on that might be in the Direct?
I have a feeling. I have a feeling TOF might be announcing some things to do with the Decennium Act, because they
Yeah,
did mention separately.
I feel like
I will be
that,
honest.
and
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I think there's gonna be another Golden Awards this year. There was
You think there's going to
hinted
be a
at in the
Golden Wars?
trailer this year.
I probably think so
Because
too.
in the
It would be an interesting move because it wasn't actually
Guys, if you
specifically
saw
said.
the
The thing
Delirium
was.
pre teaser, you did see a Golden Award in plus clip
Mm,
yeah, there
of
was
the
Golden
game.
Awards
I
in the
mean,
trailer, so maybe that it's gonna make an appearance.
I would
Mm-hmm.
imagine my belief on that is that I think if it was going to happen this year, then it would have been, or it would have already happened because it's normally
Announced
around the.
already.
It would have been around around March time. It's around the time the
But
Academy
I
was normally give or
think
take a few weeks. I don't
no,
think it's
I
actually
think they're
been.
gonna try it. I think they're gonna do it later because I think during around March there was, if I remember correctly, wasn't there a sort of owner change or like a different direction Top had?
Mm, yeah,
That
I mean, Toff's been, and the thing is, I'll point out is that I'd imagine that Toff has been pretty directionless since the end, like since pretty much the end of 21. I'd imagine, just going into 2022, it's pretty much been directionless the whole time. But well, I think they're finding direction now, and I think that's great.
hmm
But I wouldn't. But I was always under the belief that obviously for the last few years we've had Golden Awards in around February, March time. I'm surprised that there's nothing been mentioned. So it might be. So there might be feelings to the rooms that yeah, there's going to be a Golden Awards in this over the summer. Might take the place of the old slot that was normally bound for Way Awards, which is around August time.
Yeah, definitely.
That would
That would
be.
probably make
Maybe maybe a new awards might be coming in. Maybe that might be what Price is Right. Roblox you might be announcing Return to the Golden Awards because they have a big project that they're announcing. I don't think it is, but it might be.
I feel like, even though it's been a joke, I think it's probably gonna be Let's Make a Deal.
You think it's going to be a collab? I think if it is, let's make a deal. It'll be a collaboration with Toff. We have had.
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
it might be more on the Deal or No Deal they're bringing back.
Deal or No Deal?
I
You
think
think
that
Deal or No
is
Deal?
getting.
They have been. It has been. That was announced as well, so that could be another big announcement on the way from them.
Could be a date for it, maybe.
I would argue, I might say as well that if I hear anything, I think one of the big things that might be announced, or a big thing that will be announced eventually, dates for Crush and dates for You Deserve It. I'd
yeah.
imagine that will probably be announced as well, because we haven't got those yet, and they are pretty much announced as some.
Yeah.
They'll probably be announced.
No, they haven't.
But they know that. What we know that because now War's done. They've moved up half an hour, or not half an hour, but they moved up pretty much an hour. No, they have moved up half an hour on the schedule to 4:30.
hmm
So it could be words
Yeah, they
on.
moved because the wall is done. They took the wall slot.
No, they didn't because War
Well,
stopped 3:30.
not really. Yeah.
3:30 pretty much went to APS right now. For extended shows.
Yeah.
Right
hmm
now, as it currently sits. Might be. Am I expecting news on Secret Story, and potentially as well Wrong Pool Mate 2 because they've been talking about that for a while, but it hasn't happened. Top Sports maybe
True.
as well. I mean, that's went back to the drawing board.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was attempted, but it kind of canceled midway through due
Mm.
to X.
I
Remember that
think
one?
Deal or No Deal will also be likely talked about. I think the Deal or No Deal's in a weird situation right now. It's a weird one. The
Yeah.
only place it will go is weekdays right now, considering the situation is pretty tight when it comes down to time slots on the weekends.
Well,
Realistically,
not certain days. I'm not gonna say it
Friday.
due to I wanna
It's
yeah, cat's out of the bag, but yeah, Fridays right now because
mm,
mostly schedule wise, as I overview the documents and everything, early Friday, like usually like say after school, like 5
mm.
or later, barely gets touched. Right currently right now, MBS all the big groups had been touching that slot. Horizon touched it barely when they had
Horizon,
million
Horizon,
pound drop.
Horizon's been on a bit of a bit of a tough run lately as well. I just point that out. That they
Yeah,
haven't had a show since the end of £1 Million Drop
yeah.
in earlier this year.
No, not ever since they had their parlay of the weakest link too.
Oh, the
Actually,
pilot recent, yeah. I would
yeah.
imagine they go to the 4:30 slot. Unless they're going to try for 11 a.m. and try and fit themselves in before the situation or the play your cards right rubric double show situation which is going on.
Mhm.
I think if you've heard about me in the Discord, in the Blue Brick Discord server, you know how I am sitting with that, and I don't really give a shit. So, not so.
So,
I'm not saying, and I'll quickly go over this because I'm gonna say this now. The situation is, at the end of the day, I'm doing this for my own personal gain right now, or my own personal enjoyment. I'm not doing this for numbers. I'm not doing this for anything other than realistically, it's the only time I can actually go out and do a show. So I say to people, oh yeah, if you're going to go to TOF, go right ahead. I'm not SW. I'm not going to say I'm not going to get pissed off or anything. We all know that
mhm.
TOF's got a load of people, and we don't.
Right.
That's just how it is. Uh, so yeah, I'm not
It's
too fussed about
basically like
it.
know your audience, really. Oh
Yeah.
wait, I just realized another show. I'm looking back at Gameshow Direct right now. Another show that was teased but never aired, or we even have word of. React.
Mm, that as well. Obviously, Millionaire as well is also in there for TOF as well. But I would argue right now that apparently we have had information on that, and that's currently because Kobe's went off on a what's it called? If because of Kobe's current situation, Kobe is Russian. We believe, or
Oh
he's
yeah,
probably been dragged into the war with Ukraine because we've not heard from him
yeah.
since just before then. The
Yeah.
situation
Oh
is
god,
currently that,
hope he's
oh
okay.
yeah, we hope he's okay as well. I mean, it may come at us for that, but obviously, at the same time, please, people, we've known Kobe for years, so, or some of us have known Kobe for years. He's been in this community for a long time, so it's kind of so yeah, but we hope he's well and all that.
Hmm.
And we hope, obviously, with the Ukraine stuff, there's a ceasefire as soon as possible, much like the stuff Gaza right now as well.
Hmm.
And peace and everything. And it's, I think that's what I've heard from that is basically it's locked under Kobe's account because Kobe's not around. Situation currently is they can't do Millionaire unless they build a new set from scratch. Millionaire's off the table, and that's a shame because that is one of the best Millionaire sets that in the community holds, like, full stop. So the situation I think is right now that I think maybe, I mean, to be fair, I think Wise did a bit of work on it as well. So maybe if it's a team create, then maybe Wise could actually reach and grab it if he wanted to, and if
I
he wanted to
Mm.
bring Millionaire back. But
Yeah, I believe it's under Tinker, right?
anyone's guess.
It would make
Unless the
sense
team create's
because
been revoked. It's
I
anyone's
doubt
guess.
it.
I doubt it either. But I'm going to think that would have happened in the time that in the time between. It might have happened actually, because the set was built 2020, so
Yeah.
might have been revoked actually, might have been turned off. You never know. I mean, I know the CRN sets are still pretty much open and all that.
I feel like
graphic stuff
it's
from what
there,
we know.
but they just don't touch it.
I imagine so, but yeah. I think we're getting a bit sidetracked though. But the whole thing is, Gameshow Direct's back. We have a few things that we might know, or a few things that we want to think is going to happen. But we don't know for sure. The only way you can find out is by going and watching it on the Prime line on July 27th at 2 p.m. 2:30 p.m. actually, I think it is, or 2 p.m. I can't remember off the top of my head. Around 2:30 p.m. ET. That is not a plug, by the way. I'm not paid to say that. I'm just saying that out of the goodness of my heart.
In about 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, about in 19 days away.
Yeah, 19 days away. Or 18 by the time this cuts out, but we'll go with it.
Yeah. Well, correct it edit. Well, at the time of recording, this is
at time of recording, yeah. Moving on. Moving away from Gameshow Direct and onto something we've kind of touched a little bit on. But we're gonna talk about Aperion again. It's been a hell of a week for Aperion.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna start by pointing out that in between the last episode and this episode, I have received
a statement.
Not only has we received a statement, but we've had I've had contact with an insider at Aperion. Someone on the inside of Aperion about following the last episode. So I have here. I have it in bullet points. But I have it quoted here for you guys. I'm gonna
open up the actual statement.
We're gonna go through the actual statement in a minute, and we're gonna go through what everyone thinks about it and all that in a minute. But I'm gonna read out But first, I'm gonna get your reaction and thoughts to this. Or what I'm about to paraphrase from the insider at Aperion. I'm not gonna release his name or information or anything like that. But basically, so to start off very quickly, this guy is responsible for some things in Aperion, but he basically he's got that all-seeing eye. He can see almost everything that goes on in there. But to start off with quickly, he points out there was a bit of contention about the amount of shows that were on at Aperion, or were being worked on at Aperion at the time. Obviously, we used the schedule document for the small group schedule document to basically for our source and all that. But our insider said that there was more than 10 different shows that are being produced at the same time, though only 3 aired. These include the likes of The Price is Right, a show that can be extremely hard to produce and function correctly, and multiple talk shows with staff members hosting, such as Oggy, also known as Big Brother Davina in some servers, and Recon. This would lead to clearly result in staff burning out very fast. He continues. Some of the shows that were in development at the time were not produced even in the slightest bit, leading to a high number of channels in the staff group or staff server or staff section that were left empty for months on end. THW also left many of his producing roles behind to focus on Aperion, with the insider disclosing that THW was fired from APS's Wheel of Fortune for doing little to no work compared to others, and almost cost GSL and MVS's working partnership by doing little to produce TV show King's Tournament of Champions.
I know a little bit about that.
I work for TVSK and I can say that did happen.
I can confirm a little bit about that TV show King because
I can check this.
you can go first.
You can go first. Okay, basically, it was basically right. So this was when the tournament was happening. Let me find the messages because I'm in sections.
I will admit as well, I did leave this out of the out of the paraphrases or whatnot. I do have it down on record that he said from day one. So
okay, so it said basically it was like so basically there was no contention. They didn't think there was going to be a second series of it, and then obviously, and then so THW says, okay, I was informed the condition to get it renewed is that we continue without MDS. I'll send a decision before the 5th episode. Do not tell Mikey about this. And then obviously
Do not
the
tell
host
Mikey
of,
about this.
which
Sorry to interrupt, but do not tell Mikey about this.
no, that's not literally what it says.
Oh.
And then obviously, I'm not going to say names. I'm going to say the host, if you know who I'm talking about. He said, why can I not tell Mikey about that though? He said, and then THW went, oh, because this decision isn't official yet. And then he said, oh, I think we should tell Mikey at least. And then THW said, I'll do that soon. But yeah,
So THW essentially
and
went
that's
into
how, I
business.
think that's how Mikey found out about it.
So THW
About that
essentially went
issue.
into business for himself by not telling Mikey, but secretly planning behind his back. That
Yeah.
wow.
The only reason he found out was because Johnny said to him, oh, this is happening.
Yeah.
Ooh, and that would, of course, and
Yeah.
that probably cause discourse between the GSL and MDS team. Did GSL know that THW was planning that?
I feel like this was
It-
it was discussed. I feel like this was discussed in the staff chat. I feel like
yeah,
that
I'm looking at the
boy
Snapchat.
and higher up producers, as an owner-wise admin,
Yeah,
probably
let
did
me
not know about it at the
okay.
time. They haven't
Mm.
really discussed.
Let me
They're,
look.
they're probably busy with IRL life, but they're probably gonna ask, my guess, with THW, more reasons why they should discontinue it
Mm.
before they
Yeah.
talk with Mikey, and then yep, bada bing, bada boom,
Mm.
yada yada. That would be my
And then
guess of
obviously,
what should happen if that
then
was
obviously he was. Yeah, no, go ahead.
no. All I was gonna say was, and that's how TV soaking forever just be a GSL show, or maybe more devious. I don't know if this is true or not, but it could be more devious plans. He was disconnecting from MDS to move it over to Aperion in GSL.
I'd like to say on that.
Oh,
I said to
It's just a
someone in
crazy
the
idea, but
it's hypothetical. I don't think it's likely that would have happened, but
I said to
obviously,
someone in the community, if it goes to Aperion, I'm not following it. I said I'd leave the show.
So
But
obviously,
obviously it
people
didn't.
thought. So some people in there thought, oh yeah, it was gonna. Or the belief in some places is that basically THW was trying to make a coup or force a coup by moving the partnership show of TV Show King to Aperion from MDS. Fuck me, that's mental. I don't think it's ever.
Yeah,
I don't think anything like
because
this actually happened without there being a major situation occurring. It's happened before. I think a few times it's happened, but I don't think it's actually ever happened where
I
behind
will
someone's
say this
back.
though.
That is
Yeah,
ruthless.
I will say this though. I was like
If it's the case,
3 years
I should
back.
add if that's the case.
Yeah, if it's real, but this again, these are all hypothetically. But this situation, real quick, I will say, I speak about moving things or disconnecting from a group. 3 years back, I was playing a game show called Game Kaba, which is a Philippine game show.
Mm.
It was going to be a partnership with TGP and Top. Then I had a rift between the owners of TGP and this plan on just make it Top only. And then after that, the would slow down and it fall off.
Mm. Yeah, that makes actually what's on well, obviously what's the store on Aperion and all that. Does anyone actually know? I think there's point more a question for Doge, our muted friend, or no Mike friend. So he might know more about this than myself, Mono, or SSJ. Does anyone know about if this whole thing with being far from APS Wheel of Fortune is true, or if there's some element of truth to it? I've not reached. I will add. I will.
I
I
think it
will
was
add. I have
discussed.
not reached out to Armin about for a comment on this.
I
So this
can
is
look
pretty
the
much
messages. I
this
think it
is
was
secondhand
discussed.
information to me.
My prediction is yes, it's true. Judging by videos
I
that
think it
mostly that
was.
I see on YouTube, because usually almost every video I saw, usually absolutely THW is on the player list, and he was there.
Uh,
But after it's like the start of season 2
hang on.
premiere,
Hang on.
there was I don't see him there.
Hang on. Hang
So my guess it is true.
on. Fortune.
Doge just
And
confirmed that
I mean,
THW never actually showed up to, or hardly showed up to APS Wheel. So that's confirmed.
I mean,
But
he just appears sometimes, but
but he did sometimes, but not very often, is what he's saying.
Oh, well.
I think I'm probably gonna get a DM from Armin after this about this, saying about from him saying, "How do you know this? How did you find out about this?" I'm not. I would say if that's what you're gonna DM me, Armin, I can't. I'm not allowed. I don't think I'm
yeah.
allowed to tell you who gave me the information. I don't think for this one. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I don't.
I have,
Sorry,
I have to have
my guy,
I have to have a bit of confidentiality here. That's how it is.
agreement. You should
The
know.
fifth.
Well,
But
games are
Okay, right.
rules are
I'm
rules.
gonna look at messages from the 15th.
I think once everyone else goes on and looks about that, obviously the other big development in this story is that THW has also released a second apology. Good thing we recorded this a couple of days later, because otherwise we would not have that.
True.
And I have snippets from the apology here. If you want to read it, it's on all the Discord servers right now, because
I have
he has
it.
posted it
Yeah.
anywhere he is a member. Ring Blue Brick. And
Well,
he has
was a member because he left the
left,
server
yeah.
after the majority posting it.
No, you didn't even post it in here. Have a look through. It's not here.
I don't
Talk
think he
about
even
Loki's.
joined us.
No, he was in here. He was in here. Talk about a low key exit from a server, right? Anyway,
Yeah, because all I do know, he did post it like in major big groups,
yeah, major
including
groups.
apparently.
Yeah,
Well,
you would have posted an appearance, obviously. But essentially, I have here a few select snippets from it. If you want to read it full, you can just search for it on Discord if you're already on here on the Discord. If not,
if you need a link, I can send it if you want. You can
oh
get
no,
to
I
it.
have it. I have it already. I might put a QR code up or something. If there's a QR code, it'll be here. If you want to read it. But essentially, to gloss over a little bit with a few select quotes, he has once again apologized for his behavior during the fatal episode of Family Feud that led to everything collapsing on Aperion. Quote, during the middle of the show, some of you may have noticed some weird questions that are being used, with some of the audience questioning the level of the questions. Right after that, I started attacking one of my staff members, which was Trish Fairley. At the
I
end,
can. I'm
at
just
the
gonna.
end,
I'm just gonna say I was a contestant on that episode. It was not good.
here's
Yeah,
the
There is
we heard about wording about a question earlier because fun fact, when this incident was happening, me, Shade, and like a couple other people was in the VC in HVG,
Yeah,
and
because
Heard was live streaming because we were like, can you watch live streaming so we can just watch it as we were doing some other stuff like
yeah,
TV wise? And Heard was asking about wording about a question. Basically, I believe it
yeah.
was like, name something magician doesn't happen in the middle of an act.
It's
I believe.
yeah. I was there.
Yeah, I know the question was worded poorly. I was like, wait, what? For a second when Heard asked about it, and then we after round one was over, me and Shay were discussing about it because we've run Family Feud, so we kind of know a little bit more. 4 seasons strong so far. Holla.
Continuing on with the quote, he continues, at the end, I'm embarrassed not only him and my staff, but those who've witnessed all of the situation, as well as during and right after the show. He continues, I do recognise my mistake towards the situation, and I understand what I did was extremely wrong, which I did regret for doing it. The situation made it clear to me that I am not really capable of owning a group like that. He announced in a letter that Aperion will be extinguished. However, some shows will be moved over to Comet Studios, and I've done my research here. Comet Studios, a group under 100 members, set up in 2020, left inactive for an extended period of 3 years. To me, this just seems like, or currently it seems like Aperion 2.0, especially with the announcement of there being 50 shows on the group being made. In addition, he has resigned from GSL's Hollywood
it
Squares,
was
Top
honestly really
MDS's
bad
Rusty
for a
Roulette,
long
and
time.
the match game on GSL. Thoughts on that? Well, obviously, you've all read through it, I imagine, by now. I don't think it
Yeah,
was that bad of an apology compared to how he to his original
I mean,
one. It's better,
Yeah.
but not much better, I'd say. He's
And-
taken ownership for his actions, and he's also, of course, something I probably didn't put in the quotes there was he did also leave the community as well in the process. He's done with
Yep.
it 9 years on the community, on off, barring a small break after 2019 where he was
yeah,
fired
because
from
he
TOF.
feels this is really the end.
I think most of the things I said last time still stands in that regard. I think that he should have treated people better and a lot better. He should have known as well to treat people a lot better than what he did or how he did back in 2019 and even before Aperion. He should have been treating people a lot better than how he was treating them. I think on the front of from the inside information that we had from our insider at Aperion, this sounds like just major bloat again, and I think that also might be the whole reason why it ended up going, or why everyone was getting a bit so worked up in that Family Feud episode. 10 plus
Yeah.
10 plus shows in active development, by the way. Just to put it in perspective, at worst for TRN, it was 4. Blue Bricks currently got 2, and GSL only has one show to my knowledge in active development or active development being set up, being built.
I will say this. Uh, yeah, I accept some of it, but not fully of it. Once again, I'm going to bring this information because it's related. Once again, Price is Right. Almost like last year, almost 2 months ago, around May, late May, we had Tori brought to my attention about Absolutely, and then he he asked me to demote Absolutely and make him executive. He gave me his reasons why. I looked into it. It was valid. So we did that. I told him personally in DMs. And then almost a couple minutes later, Tori DM'd me saying Absolutely is going crazy. And then later on, a couple minutes later, he absolutely went into studio and deleted everything. I mean everything in the game.
Well, I mean, I will count a point by pointing out the obvious here. You can delete everything, but still, there's version control. You can't get away with that shit. I know, Peter. That's happened to me a couple times before as well. And
yeah,
it's.
I'm just saying though that was
I can just point out the obvious. We have version control. We have version control. We can just roll back the game to a moment where you build to beforehand. Heck, if you don't even publish the game, it's not your stuff isn't even saved.
But the thing is, though, the game was under Absolutely's name, if I remember correctly. It was under Absolutely's name. That was the big difference. So we legit almost have to tell them, give us a copy, legit, because you can't just do this.
Crazy stuff there.
Yeah,
I mean, good thing for version control, I guess, if you have it and if it's your game. But still, I think, as I said, it's kind of shows it's the classic situation of overproducing or over announcing stuff you already have, and this is the one problem. But in the community, or one of the biggest problems in the community, you announce a show, and then
Mm-hmm.
3-4 months, 2, 3, 4 months, when you've left it behind and all that, and you say, "Oh," and someone asks, "What happens?" It's like, "We're still in development." It's like, it's that whole
Best
situation.
example.
It's
Best
a
example is
classic
Top.
example.
But
Top.
Top had it worse of announcing show than it never aired.
So many
I
times
will
has it
admit I
happened.
was part with Buzz and King Kanabai,
But I think,
but
yeah, it's classic over announcing of things, trying to win people over with so many different shows in such a short amount of time. They should have taken their time. I think, what was it we heard? I think it was last week. I mentioned earlier as well. Like they were using, or we had intel that said they were using sets or borrowing sets from other places. And that can also, as I said, also can only go so far when it comes down to it.
yeah, that is because their Mac game set, it was, I believe, fun fact, it was started from TGC, Yellow's group. Then it moved
Probably.
over to MDS, and then
Mm.
after that was it moved to Aperion. Their
So that
Family
set's
Feud
been.
set, their
So the
Family
set.
Feud set was a company from Whammy, the Whammy Gameshow group. Their Deal or No Deal was from seasons 1 to HPG and SGC's Deal or No Deal.
So essentially, all the shows that actually went out to air at Aperion were not developed by THW or anyone on the team. So the 3 shows that were actually aired, because that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like all 3 shows that were developed or that went out to air. SSJ's left as well. That's fun. Have actually just were not developed by anyone inside at all, and they're just reusing sets.
Yeah, all the sets so far was reused.
Christ. And they had another 10 in development as well, which is mental. I'm still
Yeah.
wondering how many of those sets that weren't in development were actually, what's it called? They were actually just built from the ground up and not reused. And I think from the sounds of it, it probably would have been very likely that the Price is Right would have been a reused set as well.
Probably
But
more likely being the Doug Davison 94 set
yeah,
that was from Daylight / TGC, and then that was ported over to HBG, even though it hasn't been done in a while.
Mm.
But we're still gonna work on that. But what's the point? If I were able to take a look, if they're still on here now, wait, it's gone. So I gotta go back in version history and take a look.
I will.
Uh,
Whilst that all goes on as well, I'm just going to mention as well, obviously that that whole Comet group as well, as I said earlier, has less than 100 members, but has been left inactive for like an extended period. Extended period. Sorry, was it a period now?
Here we go.
Oh,
So let's see. Some of the other shows that we're planning on: Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, Millionaire, Pressure Luck, Rig Brother, White One, and a cat named Oogie Show. So I'm gonna set out of all of these, only 2 were gonna be made from the ground up. The cat named Oogie Show, because I think Oogie show off his work of development of his
yeah,
stuff.
that's probably how he got the job.
Yeah. And then I think Jeopardy was going to probably, knowing the producer was Whammy, it was going to be, again, the same set that was used by Whammy himself. Let's see, Millionaire. Well, that's produced by Doge. Doge, you could probably get some insights, but my guess, it was going to be the classic set that was made by Randy, right?
Oh, but
You can confirm.
just waiting for response from Doge on that. No, it was a new set. That was from the ground up, so it's free from the ground up.
All right. But another thing I will say, another guess possibility, looking at the
And there
Pressure
was a
Luck.
new version as well.
Oh wait, they air Pressure Luck, but that set was Whammy set season 1. Peter Tamarkin. That was also, I believe, the same set that is currently using by HBG as well.
Hmm.
So
So
so add another show that was used from a different group that was there. Pressure Luck. Because I commented it when I saw it logo. I was like, oh, looks like they're using the Tamarkin set. And then saw a video of it. It was like, oh, it's the exact same set that was used by Whammy's group and our group. Probably with some updates or other stuff, but that's what it looks like.
I feel like this whole thing about passing on sets to other groups and all that is a kind of a new thing. I know that we did it in 2020 with the old CR Multimillionaire set to TGP, and that was kind of the
Last
only time
thing.
where we did it. I think that's one of the earliest examples of it happening as well, where
Yeah.
a set's been
For
passed on.
example,
Probably some of the stuff at GCW as well, being moved
yeah,
across from King Gameshow Hall as well. Probably, I would imagine. But I
yeah.
will say, it's like seems like much more of a recent thing where we have sets being passed around from developers now to other groups and multiple groups using the same set. And it's a double-edged sword,
Most
I think.
com-
I think it's a double-edged
yeah,
sword.
most common thing is with Starlight, because most of their, even though they're like partnered and stuff, most sets, I know the best example was the Wall that was on top, then APS, then back to top.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword because I think that's the reason why we churned through so many sets originally a couple of years ago during the pandemic and all that. We churned through so many sets of Multimillionaire or other shows. I can't think off the top of my head which other shows. Russian Roulette when I was working on it. Wheel of Fortune at TOF is a good example of it, and along with Press Your Luck at TOF as well. It's a thing where if it's not a new set, it doesn't feel fresh. Or if you don't use a new set every season, it's fresh, and I think that's a good thing because nowadays people are kind of going away from that mentality, obviously by virtue of multiple groups using different set or using the same set, but it also takes away the individuality as well. It kind of makes the show or the community feel a lot less unique, or a group's like a group's take on a show much less unique to what it is. It feels more sanitized. It feels a lot
Yeah,
less different from what's on offer elsewhere. It's a double-edged sword. If you need a show quickly, then it's really good. But you're sacrificing the actual chance to do something and have it be all on like your own stuff, and
yeah.
the chance for it to be
Put your
uniquely you and your group.
and stand out compared to the other copies. Like,
Yeah.
I know so far. Let's do. Which show do you want to name out of curiosity, and then we can go across each version, how it's unique on each separate
Let's
group.
I'm trying to think. Let's do dual. No, let's not do dual no, because that's normally one of the better ones for this type of thing. Let's do Wheel of Fortune, because I know Wheel of Fortune normally is a common one for people to do.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah, I think Match Game as well is also a very common one for you people just to stick to one version as well.
yeah. It's usually like it's usually mostly the ABC revival. So- But even though GSL is doing the '90s one,
It's
and then
either no with Match Game. It's either the ABC Revival or the '70s version.
yeah, Rayburn.
Yeah, Raven,
But
the original Raven set, not the original, but
yeah,
yeah, the popular
yeah.
Raven set.
But in Wheel of Fortune across all the groups, fun fact: Sam has like the best video showcasing all of it
Yeah,
in each group.
yeah, it
Right
does.
now, MDS is currently doing, well, soon about to do Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, so it'll be the current set.
But it will be
APS has
it's
Look
still the
Shot.
current set anyway because 40.
Yeah,
So it's kind of current set anyway. So well, cut down to
yeah.
40 current set.
Gluck, APS has Gluckshot, which is German Wheel of Fortune.
That's two different versions. So that's two different versions.
Currently TGC Yellow's group, they're heading back to where it began in the when they first started the group was the 2000 era set.
That's 3 different
So that,
versions.
and then you can add like probably like 5 different versions on top. You have the classic Louis wheel. You had
I would say just
UK.
focus on current ones because I know the top one isn't currently airing. I have a feeling it's going
Yeah,
to be airing pretty soon. That's just my gut feeling saying to me right now. I think once after the play cards rights wrapped up, I think we're probably going to end up with another season of Pressure Luck, or alternatively, with a fortune in from Sam. I think that's my personal guess.
but if you want to talk about currently airing ones,
Yeah,
GSL technically is still airing their version, which is
yeah.
the
70s.
classic Chuck Woolley wheel.
That's 4.
And then I think that's all I know off the top of my head that's
Um,
currently still airing.
mm,
But if you want to talk about past, Tough had the Australia,
UK
uh,
set.
UK.
Mm,
They also did Jack in their copy.
mm.
Over in GCW did season
They would have been
30th,
modern,
like
yeah, modern-ish sets.
yeah,
I
mid 30 era
I would
before the
I
like that.
will argue that maybe obviously Wheel of Fortune Point probably isn't the best example of this, but I will say that as a whole there is a general there needs to be a shift as well from just
Yeah.
doing the Americanized sets, because even though we talked about it, even though
Mm-hmm.
picked that wheel from a hat, Wheel of Fortune from literally just a hat of many shows in this community that a load of people do, I think there's another point to be considered that even if it isn't a show that has many or has many different sets, it's still 4 out of 5 of those versions that we just mentioned are US versions. Only Glucksrad
Yeah.
is the only one that isn't in the States. That means
Yeah.
to
I
me that
know when we aired in HBG, even though it's the American set, because the Philippines mostly copied the Americans was, but it was the Philippine rule set though. So
yeah,
that would be a different version.
I think
Technically, each one.
yeah, I think as well. They just ran off as well before I could tell. Before he finds out multi-millionaire stuff. I will quickly wrapping up this point of because we went off topic again. It's
Yeah.
happened a couple times tonight where we've had this thing where yeah. To wrap up the appearance section, basically it's not looking good. Basically all the shows have been moved, or most of the shows have been moved to Comet Studios, a group that's been set up that have under 100, or that's been not set up, but it's been there for years now. It's been there since 2020,
Yeah.
according to
It's
the
a sleeper.
chat wall.
Well,
Not didn't take long to scroll down it. I don't predict it's going to last too long. I think there's a sense of contractual obligation surrounding the situation with it, with some of the shows being moved over to a new group with a new group, literally pretty much
funny
a new
thing
group.
actually. As time of this live recording, I
My
should
earbuds
say,
out, I think.
like about 40
Okay.
minutes
It's like
ago, like I think when we started this podcast,
Hmm.
they're actually doing a showcase of their Family Feud live right now.
who? Sorry, who?
Comet
Oh,
Studios that
mm,
we're talking about. Fun fact of their live
that's what we're calling
recording.
this podcast. Yeah.
Earlier today, they did a showcase of their Jeopardy.
Mm. So they have the sets, which is unusual because they have the sets. I think a lot of the shows as well that they were doing were going to
Mm-hmm.
be were straight from a period. So they have the sets as well,
Yeah,
which is they've already done. They're already doing more shows than a period, and they're basically only been a thing now for 2 days. To put that in perspective,
yeah.
it does not
Right now,
look.
there's been showcases right now.
It may be showcases, but they're still doing more than what.
Sorry, is this still the podcast or?
Yeah, it's still the
Yeah,
podcast, but it's still more
Alright.
than. Yeah, but it's still more than whatever Aperion have done over the last genuine 2 months. It's impressive. Given that, or however long Aperion has been around, it's impressive for them. But at the same time, it's something I think is going to be something to keep an eye out for. I think it's whether they can avoid the pitfalls of the group that's basically by virtue of being mentioned in the thing mentioned in the document from THW.
Yeah,
It's
they're gonna
can they sidestep it?
have the burden.
And
Yeah,
obviously, can they avoid being called literally just Aperion 2.0? And I think that's going to be the question that's going to be hanging over the head of the next few weeks, months, potentially year. Because let's be real, no one's going to forget the situation that's happened about a situation like the appearance situation that quickly.
Yeah, no, because I'm just gonna say, I saw the chat of the main chat, and before it's still up, and it was fucking mental. I swear to God, I'm not gonna lie, it's crazy.
Maybe something else to talk about another day, but still, it's probably one of the biggest things that happened this year in the community. Just straight up, one of the biggest things, because that, as I said, I said this earlier, and I'm going to run this quickly. I'm going to wrap this bit up very quickly because I want to go on to multi-millionaire talk and the TRN fifth talk. To wrap this little bit up very quickly, it's really as I said, I think I said it a couple weeks ago, or whenever we did the last episode. This was a rising group. This Aperion was a rising group. This is a group that was getting. Now, I think would have done really well. I think they would have probably been the first group since MDS to break out. And MDS, by the way, was formed in 2021. This is a group that was poised to break out, and all of a sudden, because of the actions of a developer or the owner, now it's not happening. That's the big takeaway. I don't think I actually mentioned that in the last thing. That's not happening. There's still a void. There still isn't that next generation of big new groups that's coming up and filling that void. MDS currently is the last group. No one else is yet to hit, especially on the growth front. And I think that's something to be keep in mind as we go forward. Maybe the growth isn't going to be as explosive as it was before. Maybe it's going to be much more sustained. So, yeah. But moving quickly on, because we have really went over these talking points. I get to talk about TRN now. The TRN 5th anniversary. Next month, we're going to see the return of TRN. 10 days only, August 5th to August 15th. We're bringing back some of our favourites from TRN for one-offs and specials. Some will be for the first time since the group closed in 2022. I put down 2021, but actually it's 2022 because those episodes of Hot Seat still going out until mid-2022. There also are some currently airing shows from Bluebrick in the mix as well, but that's just how it is, I'm afraid. For example, and I think Doge should have been in here to find this out because I haven't told him this yet. So I'm probably going to get in trouble for not telling him this sooner. Prize Fight's going to be back for. Actually, I've told him this bit. Prize Fight's going to be back for a special edition. It's going to be in the middle of it's currently running a 6th season. In fact, as we record this, Prize Fight, we literally just came out of an episode of Prize Fight. There's going to be a special edition with one big twist, and that is everyone who is in game when the show starts, and they stick around and they don't go anywhere. They're guaranteed to play the prize fight that week. Yep. A huge thing with
the longest brawl will ever happen tonight.
It's the first. There's no klaxon. There's no klaxon. There's nothing. We're gonna go until we get everyone who is in game at 5 o'clock. In through into seats and onto the board, and they take their turns and all that. Drop Zones is back for a second all-star game. We're currently searching for players for that. If you haven't considered, if you haven't talked about that, if you think you're an all-star and you aren't in our server, then what are you doing? Get in here. That's the only way you can actually get involved, or potentially try and get involved for the special edition. It's going to see the show is going to see, or we're going to see once again the game get shaken up with increased RNGs up to 20, and the mutators return as well.
I would say this. I would say something, but I'm afraid copyright may be on our case because as they say, owning shooting stars can break the mold. So you think you can
Yeah.
break it? Apply.
Yeah, a 2 million point pot as well on offer. Elephant Exchange in a surprising move, or in a surprise that I think no one's found out about until just now. Elephant Exchange is going to be back as well for another episode, a special edition during the week as well. It may not be highly regarded compared to the other shows that we're running during this, but it's still worth being announced or being brought back, especially considering we already got a separate built and everything, and we're currently in the other season as well. There's going to be some surprises in store for that, along with a few TRN questions as well. And
I
we have
think
some.
the only thing we'll probably be missing from this is the good old Pepsi Bowl. We should
Nah,
say.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, very much so. We've got other shows welcome back as well. The Lottery Live's back. It's under a new name, The Big Ticket. It's going to be a special edition, 2 hour long, and it's going to feature some great classic games along with some new ones. And we have a bit of an exclusive here. There's going to be a brand new end game as well, and it's called the Supercharger. And there's going to be some lottery draws as well in the mix as well. And the thing
and the
that I think
question is,
most
I know I'm not really a producer, but I like plug yourself in. Can you charge your way up to 1 million? Or will you blow out like a big old light bulb?
there's a reason why we called it a Supercharger, and it's because there's no limit on how much that can be won here. This could actually break the points. The points legitimately could actually change. Don't you break the points the point system with how big
I'm just gonna
the
say,
prize is going to be? Honest, I think
how you
what it could
worded,
be.
Anton Deck may be on. Anton Deck may be on you.
I don't think they will be. We called it Supercharger. You'll
I
find out what it is and how it's played when we go to it in August. And finally, the big one, Multi-Millionaire is back. First time since 2021. It's the big one, I think, for a lot of people. It's a one-off run of 5 episodes during the second week. It's running throughout the entire second week, the only show on. We haven't got a host yet. We haven't finalized the host yet. Zach has been pretty quiet since 22. We respect that silence. And yeah, we're going to temporarily bring in a guest host for this run.
But if you think, well, I don't know.
Unless he comes
Actually,
back.
no.
Unless he makes a surprise call in and we find out that he
You know what?
might be interested in doing it. And then we might have to cancel the whole
It may be
host
crazy.
this.
It may be crazy, but I'm gonna give it now. Final night of the 5-night premiere. Zach is back. Don't
No,
quote me on that. It'll be funny at the gag though.
I mean,
It'll be a funny
Zach has
gag.
been pretty much offline in the community since the end of Hot Seat not last year, the year before, 2022. And no one's actually heard anything from him. And yeah,
Well, we all
legitimately,
hope here.
outside of a few YouTube
Wow.
uploads, we've not really heard anything from him. There was actually one that he did recently from can I find the thing? Can I find the thing? He did a redone Multi-Millionaire intro. And I want to point this out to you people, if you haven't seen it already, it's really good stuff. But basically he's done a Y2K one for some special editions a couple months back. This is earlier this year. And yeah, I could keep on. But basically, yeah. He's doing some other things. He's doing his own thing now, and we haven't said anything to him about it, and we haven't said anything about it too much to him. I mean, I think people have tried to DM him, but no one's actually ever got back to him. Or he hasn't got back to some people in a while. So, yeah. But he is still around. He's just not doing stuff in the community right now, so that's the current situation we're in. And let's get on to the exclusive. So, I have the news and I have exclusive news here. And
Oh,
if you're not, and I'm gonna make it really good. I'm gonna make the announcement tomorrow about this. I can't wait to make the announcement in TR, not in TR, in the server after this. Saying exclusive multi-millionaire announcements tomorrow on the podcast. On tomorrow's podcast. I'm really looking forward to saying that. The lifelines for the season will be ask the audience, phone a friend, time bank, switch question, and revive a lifeline. Revive a used lifeline.
Yes, Revive is back once again to revive its former
I'm
glory.
pretty
from
sure that
season-
is, and I think I'm pretty on the money saying that for most people that will be the lineup of lifelines that we had pretty much during 5 and 6. I think we also had it during
Mhm.
7 as well.
Yeah.
Oh no, we
I
didn't
believe-
have it during 7 because we had 50-50 back.
No. No, I don't. Yeah, you didn't have ask the audience. I don't.
I'm trying to see if I can remember off the top of my head. Oh, I can if I can find the clip on from the New Dimension again. But yeah, I have
I
the New
know
Dimension that
Revive-
season. But we do have like frantically searching. But I do know that legitimately we have like this is a very I think people think that oh yeah, these lifelines, this lifeline lineup, oh yeah, it's gonna we know exactly where this is going. We know exactly where this is going because oh yeah, it's the 3 lifelines or the 5 lifelines that were on during the question during this first few, or during this specific era. So we're gonna use this. So they're gonna use this and this and this and this and this. All I can say is, don't expect anything. You never know what's gonna come around to hit you. Just like the music package for the season. If you think it's KPC, you are way off. It's actually gonna be US Clock. Couple that with a new set that we just pulled out over the last few months as well. Images are on the
I'm
Discord
just
for those.
saying, is it me or just US Clock is getting some love tonight?
I can actually tell you this now. It was actually going to be originally, the plan was going to be, we're going to remix of music. We're going to have the music for a mixture of classic KVC and Clock. And then we decided, no, we're just going to do KBC. Because then it just became, we might as well, don't want to put too much time and effort into this because obviously it's only 5 episodes. So we moved away from that when we remixed it. And then we went to KBC. And then I thought, yeah, but this is the 5th anniversary, and this is like the most recent thought. We already have some of the cues for that in and ready, pretty much from last season because I had to upload all the music for the last season. So I thought, actually, let's do Clock because if we do Clock, US Clock, then it pretty much saves me having to type out or having to use up a load of new slots or having to put the whole soundtrack up from scratch. So it's kind of more of a cost-cutting measure or time-saving measure, actually. We don't have all of it, uploaded right now, but we have most of it. So that's kind of the reasoning why we did that or behind that decision. I think people will say, oh yeah, this doesn't seem to be any sort of conjunction here. It seems like a mixture or just a random grab bag, a mixture of stuff. And I say to that, yeah, of course it is. It's the 5th year anniversary. We're trying to represent everything that Multi-Millionaire stood for.
Mm-hmm.
The formats, I'm obviously it's either going to be 16 question or the 10 question format. I think people can kind of figure out where this format's going by the virtues of it. Actually, I don't think they can. Because if the US clock patch is being used, and the sets pretty much the same as 5 and 6. We have the same lifelines as 5 and 6. Ladies and gentlemen, good luck trying to figure out which format we're using until the announcement comes out. Leave it in the comments below if you want to make your prediction. Because I've pretty much done nothing to tell you. Pretty much done nothing in the process here to say, oh yeah, we're
Pretty much,
using.
yeah.
I've done nothing to make that to help you on that one. The announcement TRN 5th anniversary programming season is August 5th to August 15th. It's kind of presented by Blue Brick by virtue of it being using some of the resources that from Blue Brick, but that's just how it is, I'm
It's
afraid.
more like a sponsor event, really.
It's kind of a
to say.
sponsored event, but it's not really a sponsored event, because if it's a sponsored event, I think people will get pretty uptight at me for, oh yeah, you're doing this just from purely promote Rubric by
Yeah.
flogging a dead brand. And I have to say that again, that is not the case. And realistically, it's just easier to use the Rubric server for some things like the planning of all this and everything, because it's much more active than TRN. And
It's like saying if if APS is doing something really for TGP.
kind of. I mean, I think Bluebrick's pretty much been touted, or is pretty much the success of TRN nowadays. Pretty much, but yeah, that is a bit of a few exclusive there for the TRN 5th anniversary. There might be a few more in the future, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Huh.
Just got a few questions in as well before we wrap this up. From people. This first one I think is from Crusher. What partnerships do you see in the future, and if you're planning on having any? Kind of. I'm not too big on partner shows or affiliated stuff right now. I think it's a similar situation to GSL, where if I don't think I can fit it into Bluebrick's brand or format, I might talk to other people about it. I think.
Yeah. But if you absolutely have, I'll ask the hard question. If you absolutely has to pick one group that they'll say yes to the partnership no matter what it is, which group do you think will be?
You're putting me on the spot, but okay. Well, I'm gonna give you the logical my choices first. I think, and what the benefits would be. I think TOF's got the benefits of having the most visible platform. If you do a partnership with TOF, that's gonna be pretty much a case where you will be able to bring in a much larger audience to what you do or to your group more than anything else. I think if you do it with APS, you have the luxury of it being a much more serious group. You will get treated like professionally for the most part in APS compared to other places that I know of. I think GSL's a good shout if you're wanting an active base. TOF may have the most visible base for you to go with, but they're not the most active base, I'd imagine, these days. I think GSL's much more active. MDS, if you're going with genuine fun, or genuine enjoyment, or you're just doing it for a bit of a best take, and I think HBG would be a good one if you have friends in HBG and you're pretty well aligned with them already. I think that's the situation. I think Horizon as well would be a good one if you're looking for something that's pretty comedic roasting, and also you're British as well. It pays to be British in Horizon, I think, a little bit. If the format's going to be British, it's British format. So I think personally, with where I'm sitting right now, I actually don't know. I think it's a toss up. I probably wouldn't mind doing MDS just for the fun of it. Obviously, I think MDS and Bluebrick have a lot to go with on the grounds of very similar in some aspects of it being not so much too serious, but also a bit of fun. I would have thought it also said NBC if they were still around, but they're not. NBC is good if you just want to take the piss out of your own formats.
If I would have to answer my own question, I feel like for me, if I wasn't really hating on, probably GSL, because most shows in HPG are kind of similar to GSL, as in our shows are mostly focused in almost in the 90 era, or same area of GSL, because they do anything before 2000.
Of course, it goes without me saying, obviously, because I'm in the same VC as the owners of HPG. It obviously would also be partnering and allying with HPG as well, especially considering that I am probably good friends with most of the people who work at HPG. And they probably get very pissed off at me. And they probably get very pissed off at me if I didn't say that. If I didn't say I'd go with them. I might have been pressured into that one, but we'll see. Especially considering the
I
pressure came
don't
from
get
Crusher
mad
as well.
over shit like that. It's like it's opinion based. Like, what do you think? How you think I mostly got canceled in the community basis by my opinion? So it's
That's
nothing new.
it's a very fine line to walk your opinion without causing issues, and then just trying to do it, and then just giving your opinion straight up. I think I've
Yeah.
kind of managed these days to get it about right on the balance. The other question as well from Harry is, in your opinion, what is the hardest show to write, produce, and overall create in the community? Personally, I think it's the weakest link, but I would like to see your lads' thoughts. Weakest links are hard ones to do. Weakest links are hard ones to do, I'd imagine. Oh, I can't imagine,
Yeah.
actually. I have done it.
Yeah.
Weakest links, difficult.
Yeah, I can-
A lot of questions. It comes down to how you want to, what shows you're doing. Price is Right is very difficult to do. If you want a physical prop based show, you have to create
Yeah.
almost all the props yourself if you're not borrowing them from someone else. So that
Or
probably
from
takes up a lot.
a toolbox, getting rid of all the viruses. if it's done.
Yeah, that as
But
well.
like I said, I'll say for trivia base, it has to be this link, or any shows that,
Mm.
or we get
Yeah.
link or
The chase, yes, the
because
chase.
you got to make sure, because even though the question seems okay on paper, Roblox can be iffy in tag, and it really ruins space if things are on a timer.
Yeah, fast paced time limit shows like the chase on Weakest Link can be quite difficult to produce if the questions aren't vetted properly. It really
Yeah.
that is really difficult. I'd say Price is Right is pretty difficult if you're coming up, or if you want games, or if you're doing it from the ground up. If you're borrowing it, games and all that, not so difficult, I'd say, but it is still pretty hard because of the fact that you have to go around and grab prices. But I wouldn't say it's actually that difficult because, let's be real,
Yeah. Price is Right.
almost everything on Price is Right these days, you could just search up on Amazon, or you can just search up on your local provider and find.
Or
on the
hell, you can even just randomize it through Big John for the hell of I care. Really,
Yeah,
if you really want to think about it.
there are plenty of options.
The only thing that probably the hardest thing to set up is getting like a good description for each of the prizes, or getting the games itself, or coding it up if you're not really building or scripting.
I think that's probably why the rubric price is taking so long. I think we announced this back in May. Not much progress has been made. Obviously, other stuff has overtaken it. With more other stuff with more agencies overtaken it. Multi-millionaire, for example, with Fortune, Elephant Exchange, all overtaken the Price is Right when it comes down to it. But I think we're getting somewhere with it. We've got a few games in blockout stage. We're getting closer to getting some of them done. I haven't looked at it so much, but and again, I've pretty much got a load of time of it. I've got bags of time. There's no actual date on it, so I mean, the best
speaking of which, we're talking about I've been like working on trying to get my Prices Right back up and running because it's been dead. The executive producer's been MIA for a while, so I was like, we were like, I'm just gonna have to take the mantle then and just hold and start doing stuff now.
Yeah, I think underestimated, but also pretty difficult to do sometimes. Millionaire. I think people underestimate a good millionaire.
Yeah, because
adaptation.
another thing is you gotta make sure the question difficulty is appropriate in the tier level or area. Like I will say this. Recently there was a super hard question in APS Hot Seat. It was like, how many fingers are actually visible on the money? If I'm right, question. That was like in the tier 2 area.
Yeah, if you don't get the question right on a show like Millionaire, then it's normally going to cause issues for you in the server. And I think there's something I've had to be a bit more fragile over when I've been writing questions for Multi-Millionaire. So I've been writing almost all of them this year. I've written almost all of them myself this year, and I'll be honest, I have a habit of putting in a hard music question in tier 2. If you've ever seen Multi-Millionaire, or heck, even Safe Zone, when we've done Safe Zone, if there's normally we put a hard music question in, and a lot. Or it's actually not a hard music question if you think of if sometimes you think about it, but hard music questions are the bane of this community's existence. Sometimes, trust me on that.
Yeah.
I've been there. I think question 11 can be pretty difficult. Sometimes I know that we never got it really. We never really balanced it properly in TRN. I mean, so,
I
well, it
know.
was overall. I'd say it's more balanced than you think it is. But I know some weeks we'd get just balance a week to week, episode to episode, or set to set. Could be sometimes you get a really hard one or a stumper on level like on the £1,000 level. Other weeks you'd get a
Yeah.
gimme. It's
Yeah, I
it's
know. Usually, when I had the right question, when we had it from HPG for it was the 12 question format. I was like, we were okay, and then I was like, you know what? When it comes to like the $1 million question, I was like, fuck it, why the fuck not? Make it almost like hard as yeah, it's $1 million. To tell
yeah,
you the truth, like usually it's like $1 million question. Give them the combo. Give them the 1-2 what the fuck moment. You
exactly.
know, funny fact. That happened on the pilot episode of Greed, actually.
Mm,
Greed is another one really could be hard with trivia question wise because depending on the format, you have to have multiple different answers and you have to make sure
mm.
it's actually like you can have like height and then you can just fact check to make sure everything's correctly.
Yeah, I think
Or
something
you
similar. Yeah, Safe Zone's pretty similar. Safe Zone is shown on Blueberry Card. We've done pretty much answer to Greed, and crossing Greed and Millionaire in some aspects. Multiple answers per question. Sometimes multiple correct answers. 9 questions to 500 grand. For those who need the short elevator pitch, which is an elevator pitch. But I think sometimes I've noticed as well, like it's same thing here. Sometimes I mean, making sure the questions are up to date on a show like on the show like Save Zone as well is also kind of very much a case where it's going to be
yeah.
sometimes difficult. I mean, we had a situation where we
I'm
had the
like
Lara Croft situation in a couple episodes back with Rizzo. It's a good example of that.
yeah,
That never made it into the edit of the actual show, but it will edit make it into the extended cut when it comes out eventually.
that's the only thing that's different between Roblox game shows and real life game shows because they mostly do it almost like back to back. So they're at or they have the power to fact check
Yeah.
everything during the show. Compared to us, you were like, oh shit, we have an error. We
Yeah.
have to almost
If we have an invalid question, then it's more likely than not going to get thrown out and just replaced, and instead of actually actually having the time to be fact checked.
yeah,
Because normally, unlike shows on TV, Roblox game shows have the habit of it's pretty much you only have the hour. It's like actually the comparison is probably more likely to live TV if anything, where you have the shows where live TV where shows actually don't have the ability to stop tape and check an answer and all that if it's happened. And actually, honestly enough, that's a good point to mention as well. I don't think I've ever known a show to actually have to be stopped right in the middle of the show where there's been a false correct answer given or as an invalid question or a question where it's been, you know, faulty.
yeah.
I've never actually seen it happen realistically on a game show. I think normally it's very much a thing where it happens off the TV or not on TV or in pre-recorded shows and whatnot. King of the Low and Bowen situation that wasn't recorded live. That was edited down to some extent because it was recorded a couple of days beforehand. Nothing isn't. That's the big difference. We can't in the community, you know, spend time to record stuff. We can't record. We don't record stuff, and normally if it is recorded, then it's normally very rare for a show to be recorded. I think the only times shows have actually been probably recorded before and after, or before an air date. Season 6 Multi-Millionaire, maybe a few episodes of Top Millionaire, I think. Like
I know one episode, the chase
After
was
the chase, yeah, on top as well. Like it is very
yeah,
rare for a show to be, recorded without not just an audience, just not recorded, not as live.
Oh, GCW did an era. I know one episode, Whammy, Wheel of Fortune.
Mm.
Those were recorded, like kind of recorded live in a way, but still like no like actual audience in stage.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah, but it's pretty much, it's a rarity. It is a rarity inside this end of the community. I think
Mm-hmm.
to wrap this bit up, or to wrap the question up, I would say if you're looking from a props perspective, Price is Right. If you're looking from a heavy question perspective, you want to look at a chase or the weakest link. If you're looking at trying to get the questions right or trying to make sure the questions are the right level, Millionaire, I would say, is the big three shows. I'd say is one of the hardest ones to produce in the community.
Yeah.
And with that is all we have time for this week. A slightly extended one, I guess you could say. Thanks, Mono, for sticking around. Also, thanks to SSJ for his inputs and Doge through the text chat. As I said at the start, I really want to start getting like more people into this, just because we talk a lot generally in here. And normally when I say the word podcast, everyone just like
everyone
scurries
just
off.
like no. Here's what happened. I started to do this again, but from HBG clip moment podcast. Similar to the word hunter. Everyone starts running.
Everyone just scurries off, even though we've talked millions of times about stuff in the community and all that. But the moment it gets, and heck, we've even recorded it as well.
I feel like the
post
main
shows
reason
as well.
it's probably because of scrutiny, depending on
You
some
think
things,
it's
depending
scrutiny?
on what they.
I mean, I say
Maybe.
it's
Because
scrutiny.
again,
I
because
do.
we having topics instead of like general conversation that leads into topics, and like so, like for example, anytime after a show we get to like random conversation, like those get recorded and everything. Some opinions wise, that's not the main thing. But when you get to a certain topic wise, in a podcast, that's gonna tread waters and tread ground.
A weird
I'm actually like for you who really doesn't care. We just want to state our stuff.
I think, ironically, we're talking about the topic has became what I might be coming into talking our podcast, and I think they probably not go it on the head there. I think it is realistically. I think it's because it's on the record, so it'll be on the record. So if someone says something controversial, that might be an excuse for them to try and get kicked out or something. Or it might be an excuse for someone to get kicked out of the community. We've seen it happen a lot of times where someone gets shadow banned, or I've seen it a few times where someone gets shadow banned for just something they said. And it's just and it's just an opinion about something in the community. I've seen it a few times. I think the way I sit with this is pretty simple. If you want to come in, if you want to come and talk about the community in general, you know our server, you know my server, you know where to find me. And when I say we're going to record a podcast, don't leave. And I think also,
or hell, even if you want to say your point, you can probably DM it. We could probably have like a form.
I mean,
we can set like a form, and then we can say from X user, we could say your opinion. You can help if you want to stay anonymous.
I think confession box might be a good idea. I think one thing I've said about this originally. I like the panel shows, or not panel shows, but like the talk show panel show like stuff you get, and that or post shows you get as well as a good example of this stuff. Oh, where I'm trying to go with this, where I want. If we have an audience, I can just easily go and say, okay, what do you guys think? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think it's not? And genuinely, honestly, give people people come in and just slide in, say what they think, to say their piece, and then I'll either bounce back or I'll probably just bounce back with a counter argument. Because let's be real, nothing in here is black and white. I can easily come back with a counterpoint, even if it is against my own opinion. I think that's like the way I think about this all. It's like I'm not always thinking about just having an opinion-based show isn't a bad thing in this community. I think it's sometimes important to get your opinions across.
Yeah, like
it's just you just gotta make sure you You just got to make sure that you get it across in a nice way and not in a way that just bluntly says, "Oh yeah, I don't like person X," for this blunt reason.
Yeah.
Like if you give a
Yeah.
reason, if you give the reason why, or if you give the in-depth reason to why that's the problem, or why something's a problem, or why something's an issue, then you get, yeah, it kind of makes more
Yeah.
sense. It's like, I don't like this show, but the reasons why I don't like this show is this reason, this reason, this reason. Please don't take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I just try to take the piss a little bit as well. I think that might help a little bit. Not
Yeah,
always.
because
I think having a little bit of poking a little bit of fun at the community is also important sometimes.
because at the end of the day, if you think about the community as a whole, the main point here, why we're all here, we love game shows.
Mm.
We all want to have fun. That's the main thing. We need to have humor. We need to have like serious topics and
Sometimes
learn.
sometimes we need
Because
to have a serious
every-
discussion. I think sometimes we need a public forum as well. Hopefully, so
Yeah.
hopefully if I can get around to doing this a bit more and not going away and doing other things instead of throwing this, I think hopefully this could become a more public forum in the future anyway. I mean, if you like
Yeah,
my
exactly.
analysis of the analysis videos I used to do, this is pretty much the extended version of that. It's more in depth, it's more extended, more and much longer. I can delve a lot more deeper into these things, into like in a format like this instead of
Mhm.
a 10-minute YouTube video. Is much nicer. But yeah, my thanks to Mono, my thanks to SSJ, my thanks to Doge, who's also
So,
here, and anyone else who's stuck around to
Mhm.
come in and listen to the ramblings. Next week, or next time, I guess you could say, we're going to look at, probably going to, I'm stuttering. We're probably going to look,
next week,
next week, we're most likely
on
going
the
to be
team.
looking into a bit more about the Gameshow Direct, and hopefully some more news as well. If we get anything big, we'll talk about that as well. And I also have it's also going to be discussion IP and also on IP in the community. Basically, why this community is a grey area. It's a bit more of a heavy topic. It follows on from such situations as what happened in Deal on Saturday, where I was pointing out to people about IP, kind of what this conversation started, and also why people can't call their games Wipeout or The Chase anymore. It's a very interesting subject indeed. If I don't bore you with it.
If you, I'll just say this: all your lawyer buff people who want to become lawyers, I say you join in this next one with IP
Yeah,
because we also have ROBLOX copyright to deal with too, with
I
how
mean,
owners could be with copyright stuff.
yeah, that's pretty much the explanation. It's Roblox's IP system, IP in general, and and basically why we are in a grey area. Why this isn't such a way we can't just get away with doing this for like so long, and why. And it's basically explaining why some people have been, or why studios like ITV or the people at Endemol who create Wipeout, why they've been basically getting in touch saying, "Oh yeah, you need to take this down." It's basically explaining why this is the case, and I'll try not to make it boring. And I will say
We'll make it
I
fun.
can't
We'll make it entertaining.
I may not have the law experience, but I do have a degree in games, so I should be able to explain it well enough. But anyway,
Maybe so do I, because I like,
Mm.
even though I play murder mystery games like Daniel, I'm pretty attorney, watching Law and Order.
yeah,
I could probably
watching Law and Order is not a it's not the it's not a
It's not the proper way, but you can understand legal mumbo jumbo a little bit.
a little bit, but not the proper methods of doing that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this is I wouldn't say it's like proper law advice either. What I'm going to say next week or next time, but
No, but
it's
you
still,
can understand
but it's,
like they
but it's from
represent case.
but it's from someone who has had chats about this in like the game in university and all that, with not just people who are taking the course, because I did actually talk to people about a few things like this, but also and what also people from inside the industry who have worked in the games industry and all that, and have done similar things. Anyway, my thanks for you again for you for coming out. My thanks to anyone who stuck around and listened, and please do join us there next time for another one of these podcasts. Thank you so much for watching or listening. I'm so used to saying watching. I'm so used to saying watching. It's like I'm bloody from doing the YouTube stuff for so long. I did that
You
for
want
so
me to close
long.
it out now?
No, I can do it. I can do it. Thank you for listening. Have a good one. Please do stay safe. Bye bye.